Hi everyone, thanks for joining our webinar today. As you know, we'll discuss digital trends driving membership engagement in 2020. I just wanted to quickly check whether you guys can all hear us okay. If not, there's a chat box on the right hand side. Feel free to message us there and we'll try to help you. I'll just double check if there are any messages coming in the chat.
Good stuff. The other thing you could do is, I think there should be like a raise hand button. If you could just raise your hand if you can hear us okay. That might be quicker. Brilliant. Thanks, Darren. That's great. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, good. So also, if you've got any questions at any point while we're going through the webinar, feel free to ask them in the chat box, and then towards the end of this webinar, Ben and myself will do a quick Q&A session. Now we'll do some quick introductions. So my name's Ida. I'm a digital strategist at GRM Digital, and I've got about 10 years of experience. I started as a techie. I was a QA developer, but then many years later, here I am now a digital strategist at GRM, and I help our clients as well as our prospects when it comes to their digital strategies. A little bit more about GRM. We are a web development and digital marketing agency based in Leeds, London, and Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Just in case you ask yourself where my accent comes from, that's the answer. Since 2009, GRM has been delivering and helping actually world-leading brands and to grow their businesses with our services, which are web development, SEO, digital marketing, consultancy, and everything else. It's also worth mentioning we are a member-wise recognized brand, and we work with quite a few membership organizations in the UK as well as abroad, and that includes IOSH and ROSPA and a few others. Ben, do you want to do a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So Ben Franklin here from Kentico. I'm kind of responsible for all new business in the UK and Ireland for Experience, which is one of our brands. I was brought up in Coventry, so that's where my accent's from. Kentico has been going for kind of 15 years. We're a well-established .NET CMS vendor, and we've recently kind of diversified a little bit in terms of offering DXP and headless CMS solutions. We'll touch on some of the digital tools a little bit later. In terms of membership organisations, we've worked with hundreds over the years. So yeah, we're very well versed in what membership organisations need.
Thank you, Ben. So we'll stick to the agenda that we promoted online. So we'll cover how membership organizations are using that technology to drive engagement online. Then we'll also talk about the digital experience platforms that membership organizations are using to offer more engaging, personalized experiences for their members. Then we'll run through some of the key questions to consider when choosing your next digital platform. We'll also make a quick overview on what membership organizations have done to adapt to the current situation with the coronavirus pandemic. And then finally, we will do a quick Q&A session. Probably we all know that member engagement is the #1 goal for all membership organizations. So I wanted to start off with a quote from a very interesting report delivered by MemberWise. We all probably know about their influence and authority within the industry. So in essence, MemberWise surveyed the whole database of membership, and the top goal for membership organizations is increasing member engagement. I think this quote pretty much sums it up quite well, what the membership are trying to achieve. So when it comes to digital, top dogs like Amazon, ASOS, and a few others, they deliver first-class engaging experiences. And what this means is that members, visitors, and all audience actually understand what's achievable through technology, and they are expecting this from their online experiences pretty much from everybody now. So this means that membership organizations in a way will need to adapt to the current trends and will need to provide more engaging experiences for the members. Something interesting again from MemberWise, they conducted the research and concluded that more than 1/3 of membership organizations do not have any form of engagement strategy, despite of this being #1 goal for them, which is in a way not great, because membership organizations should think about their audience expectations when they're creating a digital strategy. So on this slide, you can see exactly what members are looking for when they browse through your website or through your portals. These numbers are only set to go high and go up over the coming years for sure. And in the report, there were quite a few other stats as well. But for this webinar, we just decided to choose 7 most relevant stats for you guys. So let's say 88% of members or people are looking for optimized user journeys. And what this means is that they want to be able to find relevant information within a few clicks. On the other hand, 85% of them are looking for an interactive and engaging experience that turns dry content into something that grabs your attention in a way. So I think that all the others are also kind of self-explanatory. And after reviewing this report, I was asking myself, are membership organizations confident that they're delivering on all of these key areas? So 2020 so far, pretty interesting year with a lot of things happening since January. So the coronavirus is something that happened a few months ago, and it, in a way, it affected everything. So the way we live, the way we communicate with people, the way we communicate with brands, the way we purchase things. And after speaking to a few membership organizations, well, a lot of them actually, over the past few years, I've realized that there's a lot of membership organizations do have some sort of their roadmaps, and on this roadmap they'll have this task which is for providing better experience for the members. However, this specific task is usually further down the line, and then 2020 happened, which in a way shifted priorities and brought this improving digital experience to your members further and kind of brought it forward. And now we're seeing a lot of projects around it, which is great. And these projects are still happening despite the fact of certain budget cuts in some areas. As I said previously, a lot of changes happened in 2020, and we've all heard about sink or swim approach. So many organizations had to adapt in the recent months because of the current circumstances. And what it means is they had to change the way that they operate in order to continue business as usual as much as possible. But not only the business side, also the member needs have changed accordingly. So again, for businesses, it meant that they had to adapt also some other aspects of their business in order to meet their needs or to meet the needs of their audience. So I think that at this point, we've all realized that 2020 in a way drove a digital revolution. So for membership organizations, this meant that something that used to be offline, or you had to sort of deal with it over the phone or maybe in person, a lot of these things or a lot of these services have now some sort of a digital form. So basically, membership organizations had to digitalize some of their offerings and some of their services in order to catch up with trends and in order to sort of support their wider community. It's also worth noting that organizations who invested in providing better services for the members during this period will likely see an improvement and higher rates of retention in the future. And one other thing to probably note is, as the current situation is not great for the economy, it's most likely that we will see some sort of recession in the coming years. So we need to make sure that we provide value to our members for future consideration of membership renewals. On a positive note, the whole shift to digital is something that is setting us up for potential members of the future. Many of us actually noted that there's going to be, or there already is, a little bit of a challenge connecting with Generation Z. For all of those who don't know about Gen Z, those are like young individuals born anytime after 1996. And they're the first generation to have only known digital world. And as you can imagine, their expectations of digital platforms are enormous. So what I'm trying to say here is that if we begin to get into the mindset of digitalizing our products and services right now and delivering better experiences, then we will be in a much better position to continue doing this in the future. We all know that it's quite important to keep up with trends, and as members' needs are changing, especially during this time, membership organizations need to review their strategy and their priorities and their roadmaps pretty much now. So as you can imagine, not doing this can result in some sort of a disconnect, or you will fail to show your value to your members, which will inevitably have an impact on retention figures further down the line. This means that if you're not giving your members what they want during this time and in future, you will be, or why would they be actually inclined to renew their membership? And not only that, you'll be also putting yourself at a disadvantage when it comes to members of the future. As mentioned, 2020 brought the digital revolution probably, and to deliver the experience to our members, our members actually expect kind of technology to help them to deliver this good experience. Probably and historically, we know that membership organizations grew before digital, and they weren't really in rush to digitalize their offerings. So when we speak to membership organizations about their digital engagement, we see the same common challenges on most of them. So those are things like traditionally outdated user journeys, or maybe login areas or member zones, which are quite basic and don't give that opportunity of self-service. We also see a lot of these face-to-face events or needs for face-to-face events opposite to having these online, and a few others. But luckily, these can all still be eliminated by using the right technology. Our friends over at MemberWise have been gathering some stats about operational challenges in membership organizations for a good few years now. And interestingly, over the past few years, we've seen these three sort of challenges coming up year after year. And you'll see that these are sort of increasing. Well, these increased, most of them actually in 2018. And all this shows us is the importance of technology. So the question is, how are you going to deliver great experience with technology? You can do this by, let's say, taking a member-first approach, which means using technology to respond to the requirements of your members. You can do this also by showing your member that you are there for them, you're supporting them. Even during this pandemic, you are there online supporting them using things like webinars, online trainings, using multiple social channels to reach out to them. You can also look at getting rid of all the old-fashioned and admin tasks, such as taking bookings over the phone or maybe in person. So streamlining booking, renewals, and e-commerce processes online. And finally, focusing on upselling and cross-selling using marketing messages based on customer actions. On this slide, you can see just a few different tools that you may want to use in order to enable effective engagement. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of us have heard about these buzzwords. So one thing is for sure, and that is that with membership organizations, tech is still a barrier, unfortunately. So to deliver engagement through personalization or automation or any of the tools from this previous slide, what you have to have is sort of tools that enable you to make this data accessible for the marketers. Unfortunately, with quite a lot of membership organizations, the systems that they use are quite outdated without a single customer view. So what it means is that for the marketers, it's quite tricky to send the right messaging at the right time and still to have this consistent messaging across all platforms. So I'll hand it over to Ben to walk you through the two current schools of thoughts and how the CMS is changing.
Lovely, thanks, Ida. So I'm going to talk a little bit about CMS and where the industry is heading. I think it's probably highly likely that most people on the call will have a CMS of some description. You might have 3 or 4 or 5. You might have one that does a very good job, but I think it'd be quite good to set the scene on where we see things pushing. So the big 3-letter acronym that you'll see, so it kind of went CMS, WCM, Web Content Management, and the latest one is, I'm just going to try and, there we go, sorry, DXP, so Digital Experience Platform. So what do we mean by that? We mean that it's essentially a platform that gives you a set of core technologies that enables you to create digital experiences across a number of channels to your members and your customers. So if you look at what the analysts are saying, so things like Forrester and Gartner, Gartner have actually removed the web content management / CMS Magic Quadrant from January of this year. So they're saying at the moment that's not even on their radar as something as a technology to be excited about in any way. And the next generation of these platforms are DXP, so digital experience platforms. It's probably important to note that content is still very much at the heart of this. So having the correct content and being able to push that to the right people is still the key. And there's kind of two main schools of thought now around what people are doing. So the first is probably to understand that 95% of buyers will still select their digital experience platform or what's going to happen in the future around a web content management system. So there's still a need to have that really strong content management piece in place. But there's two different ways you can go with it. So I won't talk about the right side too much today, but there is a school of thought now that's this digital experience stack. And what we mean by that is another buzzword, headless CMS in the heart, in the middle. And then you have the best of breed across. So they all link together using APIs, and you might have a system for A/B testing, another for automation, e-commerce. Positives being that you get the best of the best. You get content systems that are made purely for content. Obviously, some of the negatives being that it can get quite expensive if you grow out that estate, and you've got to have the right staff in place to be able to use all those tools. I think more common and where the vast majority of the market is still heading is down this DXP route. And where I personally see that is having a platform in place that gives you the key components. So it gives you that CMS and web content management, but it also might offer you e-commerce, it might offer you some marketing or automation. So it gets you most of the way there and still gives you the ability, and it's very key that it's able to integrate with these other systems really nicely and play nicely along with that. So talking a little bit around DXP and how we move these static websites into more digital experiences that push across multiple channels. So if we look at what's happening is firstly, as it is mentioned, customers and members are expecting more. So the ASOS and the Amazon example is perfect, but just having a traditional CMS system now that's built for static websites on web browsers, it's just no longer enough. And you need to be doing more to try and push your members or push other things in other channels to be exciting and keep hold of the members that you've got. So digital experience management is booming. It is the buzzword of the moment. And a nice stat at the moment, a nice stat at the bottom is that 58% of consumers would switch more than half of their spending to a company or a membership organization that personalizes the experiences that they're getting. So quite often personalization comes as phase 2 or 3. But if you can get it in nice and early and make the most of it, they're great kind of benefits to be had out of personalizing things. So what other things do we expect with this new modern world? Firstly, it's to be able to access things from any device. There's nothing new here. I think I've got an Alexa in front of me and I can see an iPad. So no longer is it just kind of a laptop, desktop or just a single phone. You need to be able to have consistent personalized content across all of these channels. Other things with that is you want to be able to know that I'm the same person on the iPad than I am on the Alexa. You want to be able to collate all the information, so you've got it all within one system, which enables you to personalize easier, enables you to create events that are more specific, all things that you'd expect by having the right data within one place. The other things is being able to create engaging content. That's something that often sits outside of the system, but then being able to produce that and then push it to the right person through the right channel at the right time is all the things that can really increase revenue. And you can see at the bottom that 84% of companies that actually improve their customer experience will see an increase in their revenue. Stuff. So staying behind can be dangerous. And again, I know it has just gone through some of these reasons. From my point, I think the biggest thing is that not doing these things have a real impact or direct impact on the bottom line. So just starting at the bottom, that if you can create a relevant content to consumers through multiple areas over multiple channels, not only can it save you time and cost, but it also can actually increase revenues. So there's a much of 20% there. So please seriously look at this, because staying behind can be dangerous. The other kind of more softer benefit is that no marketing team wants to be working on technology that doesn't allow them to even update content or change pages or make exciting email marketing campaigns. So keeping hold of key talent is another big thing of having these technologies in place. Probably nice to know in some ways that it's not just membership organisations. So it goes right across the board. We're seeing these and talking to many different clients in many different spaces. The whole industry is shifting, and you're definitely not on your own in this, which is quite good in some ways. So when we were discussing what to do for this webinar, and we were talking about how we can probably give the most value, I thought from our side it'd be really good to kind of explain some of the things that I think are essential in modern day DXP platforms, and what to look for and what questions to ask if you are going to try and move on to one of these platforms. So the first and one of the most important is the ability to integrate and extend the system if needed. So as I mentioned, it's kind of a core set where you have the CMS or whatever at the heart of it. So being able to link really nicely with all these other areas is really key. So can it talk to your e-commerce system if you've got a separate e-commerce system? If you've got already using an event booking system that you really like, can it intertwine with that and share information across both of those areas? I think the big key thing for me in terms of all technology, not just DXP, is that quite often, and I probably shouldn't be saying this as a vendor, but quite often you get excited by the features. So there's a feature race and you want the best automation or some AI or machine learning. But when it actually comes down to it, can the end client or membership organization use it? So can you get hold of the system? Can you update content? Can you do the things that are simple first? And secondly, if you're looking at things like personalization and automation, can you maybe get them through templates? So it's click of a button rather than having to have or rely on, and again, sorry, the agencies to be able to do these things for you. Can you as an end client self-serve and make the most of the system that you've got? Contact management, I think I'll probably explain that. Contact management is more around being able to have a single view or as close to a single view as your customer as possible. So like I said, if it's on a Alexa or a laptop or an iPad, have you got the ability to link all of those things, couple it with membership information or event information, and having that single source of the truth is really important. Is the community good? So is there not only the ability to work with skilled implementation partners, but is there a support network if things go wrong, etc.? Is there a company that sits behind it that you know that's going to be there for the long term? And kind of a separate point outside of the technology is just try and be really clear on what it is that you need. And if it's a case that, like I said, you want personalization, then make sure that gets put in phase one, because as we all know, things often go phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and then you're missing the real value of getting a system like a DXP in place if you're only using the very, very 10-20% of it. So try and use as much of it as you possibly can. And to explain a little bit about a client that we've worked with historically, just to show this really works. And I hate the term digital transformation because it gets banded around all the time, but this is a true, I think it's a true representation of what digital transformation is. So London Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they had a legacy system. In fact, they had 2 or 3 legacy systems. They weren't talking to each other. They were still doing a lot of manual processes, like Ida mentioned earlier. So they came with a brief of being able to set up a multi-tiered membership sign-on. So different tiers, all signing on with different benefits, different zones of the website, depending on what member zone you sit in. Having your own interactive member zone yourself, so you can go in and self-serve. So it's not all on the London Chamber of Commerce to update things. It included an event booking management system, the ability to track all users, making sure that they could put that engaging content to the right person at the right time. All of the automation behind the event management came in, so reminders for events, booking confirmations, as well as some of the automation processes, a little bit more business process automation. I'm not saying in any way that that was something that it was built for, but it's definitely can be used in that way. But also being really strict on who can do what internally as well. So they might have a marketing team that they want to be able to create pretty front ends and work on adding in widgets and email designs, but you don't want them being able to play around with the code, for example. So being able to limit that and who can do what internally on the systems really help them to keep control and integrate with CRM systems as well. So it's got a kind of dynamics integration at the back of that. So this piece of work was done, I think it was a couple of years ago maybe, and you can see that there's a huge increase in so there's a 250% increase in membership applications, 200% increase in page views, and social engagement was up 350%. So it can have a real effect and give you a real return on investment if you invest in the right digital tools at the right time. Cheers, Eda.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So now we'll quickly reflect on what membership organizations have done over the past few months to fight pandemic, or maybe, I don't know, to adapt to the current climate, so to say. So we've all heard about member zones, interactive zones, something where people can self-serve them in a certain way. So we can all conclude that this is something that ties everything together in. And member zones are acting as a central hub for your members, which means they enable your members to engage with your brand. So recently, it became such a vital investment, especially for membership organizations. So what I'm trying to do here is just to give you an overview on what to think about when it comes to improving or creating your member zones. So one of the things to consider would be gamification. It's a bit of a geeky term, but it's actually using action-based trophies and rewards as a way of keeping your members return to your website. Also, it would be good to invest in marketing automation, which means using automated journeys to make sure that your members are receiving right messages at the right time, which will always be triggered based on customers' sort of activities on the portal, so to say. It's always nice to think outside of the box and maybe suggest limited time upgrades from time to time, which will be like leveling up subscription for a set period of time. Always try to think on how you can digitalize some of your offerings. So taking away the manual labor of taking phone payments again, or maybe in person. So use e-commerce where possible. And then finally, personalization of your the member zone, pretty much understanding what your members want to see on your portal. And the last one is show member statistics, which is always nice to have because they can see the value that your brand or your organization brings to them. We can all agree that it's been interesting 4 to 5 months, and despite the obvious terrible effects that the virus brought with itself, businesses had to adapt and shift some of the priorities to meet the changing needs of their members. Interestingly, one of the key investments are engagement projects, despite of the other projects being delayed. So one of our major clients, Rosper, has brought forward this project from 2021 into Q1 this year. And we're also seeing some of our other clients actively engaging with their audience on social media, which is great for me because we're going in the right direction. And by doing all these things, all I can say is that it's been testing time, but I'm sure that with these investments in member engagement initiatives, memberships will be more successful as a result of them in the future. So hopefully this short and sweet webinar between GRM and Kentico Experience has given you a little more insight into how technology can be used to provide more engaging experience to your members. We're going through interesting time and period, and it's clear that membership organizations still need to adapt to ensure that they can attract, convert, and retain members in the future. So please know that an engaging experience is the key to that. Ben, do you have anything to add here?
Not really, just to say thank you everyone for your time, appreciate it. Please feel free, we're going to open it up to questions in a moment, so if you do want to ask anything, and yeah, just to say that this has been recording, so we'll be following up, possibly with some requests for feedback and also to share that recording with you. So yeah, please feel free to ask any questions you've got, and we'll do our best to answer those. So the first one we've got is there or are you looking with connection with microdynamics? So I'm not sure if that's a Kentico question or a GRM question. I think from Kentico side that yeah, absolutely, there's dynamics integrations possible. I don't know if you want to talk about any experiences that you've had with integration, Ida.
Yeah, definitely. No website stands on its own. Pretty much every website has got a CRM or an ERP in the background. So whether that's Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, or anything else, we've integrated all of these because it's where the actual data of your members sits, and it's a necessity to have those, like the website, the front facing, as well as the CRMs in the background integrated. I hope that answers the question.
Great stuff. So when you talk about all-in-one DXP, would you still expect to see a CRM in place as well? So pretty much just answered that, I think, Ida. Yeah, yeah. As she said, they're very rarely on their own, and to be honest, we're trying to move away from that. As I think, as an industry, like I said, just having a standalone website, just doing its own thing, not talking to anybody else or any other system, is probably not the best way to go. Anything to add, Ida, or was that okay?
No, I absolutely agree with you, Ben.
Great stuff. Oh, sorry, I've just had a bit of trouble trying to. Can you help put business cases together for the sort of engagement solution? Yeah, so absolutely. I think from Kentico side, we've got a whole host of case studies, success stories, similar to the London Commerce Chamber of Commerce one, where we've done a lot of the research in terms of return on investment, in terms of membership acquisition and retention and things. So yeah, there's certainly things from a Kentico side.
From GRM side as well, yes, it's an exercise that we do regularly, and would be happy to help. We'll get in touch straight after this webinar.
Good stuff. Do you have any examples of gamification, how gamification has been successfully used in a member zone? So I think that's one for you, Ida. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. So if you go on Reddit, you'll see this. Also, if you go on, I think LinkedIn does the same thing. So basically, if you're on any of these portals, what you'll see is the system is prompting you every now and again to update some more information or to do certain tasks, and then you'll be they'll entice you to go back to the portal because it's engaging, you're doing some things and you feel good about those things, and then you'll be rewarded by the system by performing all these things.
I think it's probably a lesser extent, we've got the Kentico partner network as well. So we've got the different levels. So we try and get you to do more things, that add case studies, etc., and build your way up the chain. So that's not quite a member zone, but not far off. Great stuff. I think they're all the questions we've got currently. Please feel free if there's any more. So we are on V10. How easy, or do we need to involve third party to get involved in? Elena, how about we'll be in touch after the webinar. I'll give you an email and we can discuss it offline and see. I don't know without diving into the detail. So let's have a chat offline and we can discuss that in more detail. And then final one, what examples of personalizations have you seen results with in other membership organizations?
It's an easy one. So anything from serving right content. So let's say if you visited a certain product, let's say, quite a few times, the next time you log into your member zone, that product will be, let's say, on the pretty much somewhere quite highlighted on the home page or your main page, so that the system knows pretty much what you've been visiting, and then it highlights it to you and tries to get you to the next step, which usually is if it's a product related thing, and if it's an e-commerce, let's say, then what it would do is get you through the user journey to convert or to purchase that specific product. Do you have any examples from your end, Ben, maybe?
I think, yeah, at the highest end, and if you look at what Amazon does, where it goes, if you've bought this, then I don't know, if you bought a controller and you need batteries, then quite often when you go to buy the controller, the batteries are there for you to click on. So it's personalizing what products or articles or membership things people see based on the journey that they're having.
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal is to show to your member that you know what they're after, and then obviously to try to upsell and cross-sell as much as possible.
Yeah. Great stuff. I think that's it. I think that's all we've got, unless anybody else has got any more on the call. Just give it another second. But yeah, just to say, if there are any, aren't any more that come in, thanks again for spending the 35-40 minutes with us today. We know time's precious. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks everyone, and yeah, we will be in touch soon.
Brilliant. Thanks all. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.